All right, cool. What's up, people? Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. We are currently live on YouTube and Rockfin. Please check out Rockfin, ROKFIN.com, where they do not censor or suppress my channel. Let's try and support on Rockfin. If you are over on Rockfin, I'm going to say hello. Hello, Rockfin. We got one person hanging out. Probably we'll have a few more hanging out shortly. Early chatters are in. What's going on, guys? How are you? Judy Truitt, what's going on? Unapologetic Vegan, Kuro Hikes, Poppy Davis, Jacob Gordon, Donald McCarthy. Donald McCarthy from way back, old school. Been following this channel for a long time, and I appreciate you hanging out. Osama number 5, one of the OGs on Black Bear News back when it was Red Llama music. But anyways, greetings, guys. And let's see. Urban Hermit, what's going on? I see you on Rockfin. Hello. A couple viewers on Rockfin. Let's get some more views up and viewers up on Rockfin. All right. Let's get into it. Let's get straight into it. So I wanted to kind of talk about why it is that we are not going to get off of fossil fuels anytime soon. If you thought that the Biden administration was going to be better than Trump, other than rhetorically, you probably should start thinking. He isn't even in office yet. You should probably start thinking about the fact that isn't. And I'm not saying this in order to say that Trump was good on any level on climate, for sure. He was not. He was terrible on climate, but that's the way our system is set up. That's the way the ruling parties are set up. They're set up to keep the system going. And so if you really want to do something about climate change or take action on climate change or escape the encroaching, impending doom that is coming our way, you're not going to do it with a vote. You're just not going to do it with a vote. You're going to be like, it's like, there are definitive bars on the cells that we all inhabit, in the jail cell that we inhabit. However, the bars are far away. We can, they're far away now and they're encroaching. We're kind of like the people in Star Wars, right? When they fell into the trash compactor, Han Solo, Princess Leia, and Luke Skywalker were in the trash compactor, and the walls were slowly closing in, right? And that's where we are. That's where we are now, right? So and you're not going to vote your way out of that predicament. You're not going to ask nicely. Can you please? We'd like to be let out of the encroaching walls of the jail cell now. Do you think you're going to? Let's pose a question to you. Would you like to be let out of the encroaching walls of the jail cell now? Press yes or no. Yes, please let us out. Okay, we'll let you out. Right. So, yes, Kuro Hikes. Biden is just a Trump that's not uncouth. Just like Obama. Trump was just like Obama, just a little, pretty rough around the edges. And Obama was white supremacy and blackface. Bam. Straight up. So, you think you're voting for something different or you're going to get something different. And I'm here to show you you're not. So if the entire system is corrupt, or if both choices are bad, or if there's no way to vote ourselves out of the climate change predicament, you're going to have to start thinking about doing something else, right? You're going to have to go outside of the system. But if it's the system itself that's destroying the planet, what do you do about that? You really got to ask that hard question. You really got to think about that. If you really want to do something about climate change, you're not gonna go, would you like to do something about climate change? Yes. I'll press the red button for yes. Oh, thanks for your vote. Thanks for your opinion on this poll. Here comes climate change. You're going to have to go around outside, and eventually that going around or outside is going to have to do away with the current system. And one more thought on this, that goes for climate scientists as well, who are propagating the system, the idea that we can live in the system that we live in currently and somehow, twist the knobs a little bit or dial us into a little better way of living. Any climate scientist out there who doesn't understand that we're going to have to pretty much do away with 90% of the system as we know it in order to mitigate climate change or do something real about climate change. Any climate scientist that's telling you anything different is a liar. Straight up, a liar and a propagandist. Or they're just, hopelessly optimistically confused. And that could be the case. Could be the case for some of them. Some of them know and they're just lying to you. So, But we're going into the land of believe science. Or, our science. Believe our science, the science that we tell you. Believe our science. Believe science, or you're a lunatic conspiracy theorist. Believe science. We believe in science. Oh, our science. Not yours, or not science, not yours. What were we saying? Anyways, believe science. Rich Diana said, AOC is actually not the future. She might. I think she's trying to ride the fence of caring, and she's saying the right things, but she's also holding up the Democratic establishment. Not holding up, but supporting the Democratic establishment. So I have very grave misgivings about AOC, and other people are voicing the same opinion or the same concerns around AOC. Anyways, let's get into this. But that's a subject for another time. Hold on one second. I don't have my thing going on. Anyways, the hidden subsidy of fossil fuels sent to me by Kelly Lincoln. A new report says that the world subsidized fossil fuels by $5.2 trillion in just 1 year. This is from May 9th, 2019. So last year, that calculation is less tidy than it seems. Governments around the world spend an enormous amount of money every year making it cheaper for fossil fuel companies to exhaust the planet. Cheaper, easier, not harder on any level. But they're not spending nearly as much as a recent report may make it seem. Oh, okay, well that's great. The International Monetary Fund recently updated its comprehensive report on global fossil fuel subsidies. It arrives at a staggering conclusion. In 2017, the world subsidized fossil fuels by $5.2 trillion. Do you think that's gone up since then? Equal to roughly 6.5% of global GDP. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of money. Trillion. When you start talking about trillions, that's up $500 billion from 2015, when global subsidies stood at $4.7 trillion. According to the IMF, if governments had only accounted for these subsidies and priced fossil fuels at their fully efficient levels in 2015, then worldwide carbon emissions would have been 28% lower, and deaths due to toxic air pollution 46% lower. I'm not really clear on what that means, accounted for subsidies and priced fossil fuels at fully efficient levels. I'm not sure what that means. Does it mean I think that they're saying what they would cost if they were not subsidized. So, what would the actual true cost of these fossil fuels be? If we were paying the true cost, carbon emissions would have been 28% lower. That's actually lower than we lowered carbon emissions due to the coronavirus pandemic. It's a lot, 28% lower. And that's not, do you think that's going to happen anytime soon? Because the Biden administration or the Biden campaign had on their website at one time something about ending subsidies for fossil fuels, and then they conveniently took that out months before the election. Oh, sorry. Just kidding. Didn't mean that. The report suggests a morally grim situation. Morally grim. As the planet careens towards climate catastrophe, governments are forking over trillions of dollars. 1/15 of the global economy directly to oil, coal, and gas companies. But the challenge of combating climate change through politics, it's where it gets tricky, is much more difficult than some tidy math can make it seem. This calculation suggests that recalibration would be simple. If we only cut those subsidies, if we just could only cut those subsidies, then carbon pollution would plunge. Do you think so? I don't know. If you woke up tomorrow morning and gas was $8 a gallon, how many people do you think would just continue to buy it? Would just be like, oh, well, I guess it's $8 then. And lots of people would be impacted for sure. And so would your food prices, and so would your plane tickets. Imagine if we priced, gasoline at $8 a gallon, or kerosene, whatever they power planes with. We price the fuel at the true cost. We'd be much further along in addressing the climate challenge. So we don't need a carbon tax. We just need to stop subsidizing fuels. Why do we need to tax fuels that we already subsidize? That's why carbon taxing is goofy. It's a goofy idea. And it's a goofy idea on many levels. Alas, such a clean fix is impossible because the 5.2 trillion figure includes much more than a cash transfer from government to businesses. By the common sense definition of the term, governments actually subsidized fossil fuels by $296 billion in 2017, according to the report. I'm not going to say that represents a more or less grim situation than the alternative, but it is undoubtedly a much smaller number, and it can misstate the overall problem of climate change. It's not that someone is already paying the huge cost of fossil fuels. It's that everyone and no one is. Why does the IMF seem to overstate subsidies 17-fold? It comes back to its definition of subsidies. The report says that they come in two flavors. First, there are pre-tax subsidies, which reflects the difference between what people pay for a fuel and what it costs to produce. This is what we usually mean when we say subsidy. Exxon might be able to break even selling a gallon of gas for $3.50, but the government might decide that the best price for a gallon gasoline is actually $2.50 if it provisions public funds to pay this discount. Then we call the resulting $1 a subsidy. But wait. Then the report adds that there is actually another kind of subsidy, which it calls a post-tax subsidy. This subsidy reflects the difference between actual consumer fuel prices and the full societal and environmental costs of a fuel. Right. What's the damage? These costs are very large. The burning of fossil fuels releases deadly air pollution, hastens the destruction of the climate, and sometimes increases traffic fatalities. And since all of those things kill people, they also depress a country's tax base. According to both the harms and the smaller tax base, says the IMF, you produce an overwhelming number. In 2017, post-tax subsidies came to 4.9 trillion. Or 94% of the total. Those costs are very real, and they represent a subsidy of sorts. They are a grant of something valuable, our lungs, our home planet, our lives, to assist and enterprise, so that we're not pricing in the damage that fossil fuels do to our planet. And again, what price the planet? How can you actually put a cost on the environment, or the things that keep us alive, the one home we have? It's sort of like a grant of something valuable exchanged among ourselves. If the air pollution from my gas stove causes you to have a fatal heart attack, then I reaped most of the excess benefits of that arrangement. I didn't have to go chop wood to cook dinner. My gas company earned a smaller share collected via my monthly bill, and you paid the difference. Every year, 70,000 to 107,000 Americans subsidize air pollution with their life. Of course, before you were stricken, you were on the winning side of that deal many times, the exact number dependent on how often you burned fossil fuels during your life. Which sharpens the point: the burning of fossil fuels demands the grant of something valuable, not from one equal to another, but from the poor to the rich, from the weak to the powerful. The wealthy can and do burn more fuels, after all. A remarkable study published this year in Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences found that Black and Hispanic Americans experience 55% more air pollution than they cause. White Americans, meanwhile, suffer 17% less air pollution than they cause. This is, again, kind of like offshoring or externalizing your consumption, right? It's like when people report, oh, the UK reduced pollution and increased their economy. It's because they externalized the production of their fossil fuels or the fossil fuel use. So you can do that magic accounting. Oh, we've been lowering emissions and growing our GDP. Wealthy people live, super green lives. We've got solar panels on our roofs, and we eat really healthy food, but we've externalized most of the air pollution and the costs to our health and our lives to people who have to live among the factories and in third world countries producing our goods and have to breathe air in places like Delhi. No wonder black children are 4 times as likely to die from asthma as white children. Does that represent a subsidy? The IMF report hopes to treat it like one. So it assigns a dollar amount to every harm inflicted by fossil fuels. The cost of air pollution varies by country. Poorer countries are more willing than rich countries to accept dirty air, but it comes out to a 2.3 trillion. Yeah, so producing our stuff somewhere else and paying people, $1 a day to produce that stuff, and then, shipping that stuff, burning, coal, whatever, bunker fuel or whatever it's called, or flying that stuff over here and buying that cheap stuff that was made somewhere else where they put the factories, because we don't, now we have really clean air because the factories are all somewhere else. We can't see it anymore. We can't see the smoke and the soot from the factories and the making of things. That's absolutely a subsidy. Yeah. Anyways, I think you guys get it. I'm going to end this reading of this little article and move on to, what's this? Oh my gosh. Why is Joe Biden considering this man to help fight the climate crisis? The Biden transition team is facing pressure not to hire people with fossil fuel ties like Obama's energy secretary, Ernest Moniz. Oh, wait a minute. Oh my God. Trump is hiring crazy people to be in his administration and run the EPA. Oh, we just read that Biden hired a lobbyist for a chemical for DuPont. Where's the outrage? Where's the running around with the hair on fire about that? It was a deceptively low-key occasion on Capitol Hill an older man in a dark suit talking into a TV camera about an energy report. According to his firm's 362-page analysis, the fastest path to California's climate goals included continuing to rely on fossil fuels. The analysis was funded by gas companies and groups related to them. But he wasn't a lobbyist or an industry consultant. Quite the opposite. He was the Obama administration's well-respected energy secretary, Ernest Moniz. We certainly have to get beyond the climate deniers, he said in the April 2019 interview with C-SPAN. But we also have to get beyond. Here's the part, and you have to listen. We have to get beyond what we think are often completely unrealistic proposals for the pace at which we can decarbonize. Fighting climate change at the pace needed would require a broad coalition, he said, one that included the oil and gas industry. Dun, dun, dun. And that's why we're going to keep subsidizing them. We need it, guys. We're not going to stop it. We can't stop it. We cannot stop. We're going to need all this oil and all this gas to transition to a clean, green economy. I just want to pull up a memory of Lord Hugh. If you guys remembered Lord Hugh, or if anybody still follows Lord Hugh, saying, and rightly saying, you know, if we transition our entire economy to renewable energy, we would get a huge bump in emissions from actually doing that, because it would require an enormous amount of energy to create all those renewable systems, and that energy would be fossil fuel energy. So we would actually increase emissions trying to convert our society to a green, renewable energy society. Considering we're in a bad place already, do you think we should chance that? You think we should take a chance on that? Increasing emissions over the next 20 years? Where do you think that would put us? As the Biden transition team wrestles with this question, hold on one second. Moniz was wading into a dispute that will define how the new Biden administration tackles the crisis. Can oil and gas companies be part of the solution? Or have they proven, with years of disinformation campaigns and efforts to slow climate action, that they will always stand in the way? As the Biden transition team wrestles with this question, it is already facing pressure from activists not to hire more people with fossil fuel ties. Guys, please don't hire these people. Why are you hiring? Hold on. You said you were the climate guy. You were going to address climate change, but you're hiring all these fossil fuel peoples. Wait. How dare you question Joe Biden and his well-meaning words? Remember when Barack Obama said a whole bunch of really cool shit on the campaign trail in 2007, 2008? Remember, he was like so progressive and he just said all this really cool stuff. And then when he became president, he just stopped. He didn't do any of those really cool things that he said he was going to do. You remember that? And everybody believed him. Everybody was like, this guy's great. Yeah. And, you know, Joe Biden barely didn't even say anything really good about. All he said was like, well, you know, I guess I can offer you climate change. I can't offer you guys anything else. I will offer you nothing. But, you know, I'll admit that climate change is real, and I'll tell you that maybe I'll do something about it. And then when I get elected, I'm not going to do shit about it. Why? Because he's Joe Biden. Because he's a professional liar. But, you know, whatever. But whatever. At least we don't have fascism anymore. I'm a dumbass. In Moniz's case, Moniz is on the board of one of the most polluting power companies in America. Woohoo! The Georgia-based Southern Company. His firm, Energy Futures Initiative, conducted research paid for by the Southern California Gas, SoCal Gas, which is a state consumer advocate, has since argued should be fined for using customer money to oppose climate progress. All right, how's that? How's that for A president who's really going to tackle climate change. Moniz presented the results at an event sponsored by Stanford University's Natural Gas Initiative, excuse me, which SoCal Gas and other fossil fuel companies helped fund as affiliate members. The initiative offers corporate members access to research from inception to outcome. Meanwhile, Trump is opening up the Alaska to Arctic drilling. I wonder how long it'll take Biden to reverse that. How long he's going to drag his feet on that. This is just a shell game, right? Because Obama was president, and he opened up the Arctic drilling, and he gave a bunch of licenses out to oil exploration and drilling, and then a lot of people were like, hey, we don't want you to do that. And he was like, well, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's not a good idea. And then later he reversed himself, and everybody was like, yay, Obama, man, he's so great. But when he did the thing in the first place, and then Trump came in and he was like, I don't care about climate change. I'll just open up everything to everybody. And then Biden comes in, he's like, I really care about climate change. And I wonder how long it's going to take for him to for people to figure out that he doesn't, minimally cares about climate change. And if people protest him, I wonder how many Democrats are going to say, hey, he's a good guy. Don't say anything bad about him. Please stop. Or how YouTube is going to suppress and demonetize every channel that calls out Joe Biden on his climate change policy, right? Like this one, like this channel, right? So you're not going to be able to say anything disparaging about Joe Biden and his climate change policy or what he's actually doing, because you're going to be suppressed and censored by social media. Because everybody thought that was a good idea when Trump was president, right? Because they were like, yes, censor him, suppress him. It's misinformation. They're liars. He's a bad man. And then when Biden becomes president and you want to criticize Biden, all that censorship is in place for them to just go, nah, we're going to shut you down. You see how that works? Moniz presented the results. Anyways, EFI also partnered with Stanford researchers on a report that explored opportunities to capture climate emissions from fossil fuel operations. Because, that's clean technology right there. We want to burn some gas, but then we're going to capture the emissions. Guys, we're going to clean it up on the outflow. One of the funders was the industry group, the Oil and Gas Climate Initiative. So you see what's happening here, right? While gas has helped the U.S. cut its planet heating emissions by replacing dirtier coal, it remains a major climate polluter that is linked with significant health problems. Also remember that, in the U.S., we buy lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of things made in India and China, where they use the dirtiest of coal and oil and all kinds of stuff to make the things that we buy, right? So we're doing the externalizing and the offshoring of our emissions as well. So yeah. So here, somebody credibly dubious is joining the Biden team. Again, another. Just to go a little further into Biden. Biden vows diverse administration. He also vowed action on climate change. But first appointments are from his political circle. So he's like, yeah, nah. I said I was going to do this stuff, but yeah, nah, I'm not. Right? Kind of like Obama. Yeah, I said I was going to do all this stuff. Nah, I'm not. He's not. And then, interesting, John Kerry tweets out, America will soon have a government that treats the climate crisis as the urgent national security threat that it is. Because, it's more important if it's a national security threat other than it doesn't matter that it's a threat to the entire planet and life on Earth, but if it's a national security threat, then we must consider it important. I'm proud to partner with the president-elect, our allies, and the young leaders of the climate movement to take on this crisis as the president's climate envoy. All right, yay, John Kerry, yay. I told him he should start with removing fossil fuel subsidies and executives from the new administration, then get back to us about all this good cheer. And also, interesting follow-up to that from Emily Atkin. Biden has announced that John Kerry will be his climate czar. This is a huge sign that Biden will favor a moderate climate policy approach that hinges on GOP support and probably hinges on his fossil fuel masters allowing him to do anything about climate change. I'm not going to get deep into this, but I just want to, after I talked to Kerry about his climate policy strategy, I wrote about why I'm deeply skeptical about it. We're going to get more into this probably tomorrow. I'm not going to go deep on this. Months after this, Kerry's climate organization invited me to moderate a bipartisan climate conversation between Jamie Margolin and John Kasich. The conversation only further cemented my skepticism towards this approach. I really wanted to have a productive conversation. I always have wanted this. It's why I spent a year working at a conservative news organization. But even Kerry's hand-chosen climate-friendly Republican refused to grapple with basic facts of climate science. She also goes on to say the climate fight is the fight of our lives. I know John Kerry recognizes the seriousness. I also know he recognizes the responsibility he now holds. So I hope, there's that tricky word again, the hope. I hope in the change he takes these critiques seriously if he sees them at all. I don't make them to be a jerk. I want to be wrong. You want to be wrong. You really want to be wrong. We all really want to be wrong. We all really want to be super surprised and hope that anything gets done about climate change. We all really want to be, pleasantly surprised. We all want to be wrong. We all want to be like, oh, oops, my bad. I'm sorry. I was critical, but I have to change my tune because this person actually did something that they said they were going to do. Muzza, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. We have 100 viewers, 32 likes. Please like up the video, guys, before we head on out of here. I just want to get to a couple of comments. Tom Jode says, I'm going to buy gallons of gas and just burn it for no reason along with all my toxic plastic and random chemicals. Pollution is the solution to overpopulation. Okay, is that right? We'll poison ourselves and that'll take care of the problem. Yes, and Shan Holzer, Twitter they all will suppress. All of social media will start to suppress the reality of climate change. Or anybody talking about anything outside of the official, the official position on climate change. Ross Cobbin says YouTube is becoming nothing more than a wing of NBC, CNN, and MSNBC, and CIA, and the NSA, because that's what they are. And NBC, CNN, and MSNBC are just wings of the CIA, the NSA, the DNI, etc. Anyways, guys, I have run out of time. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. And I will be back tomorrow with some more climate change news at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until next time, peace.